So today I want to talk about a very common fear that I had and many of you guys possibly still have, and that's having anxiety and feeling like you are going crazy or losing your mind. And the thing is that there's tons and tons of like little things that we feel that like justify that fear or validate it. Lots of little pieces of evidence. I feel like Pocahontas here. We're gonna have a bunch of these little leaves falling. Anyways, like I really struggled with this, and I just kind of want to go through some of the things that kind of made me feel like I was going crazy. If you're dealing with this, you are not alone. Most likely you are just very, very afraid. An intense fear and fight or flight will make us very, very irrational. It makes it very hard to concentrate. It makes it very hard to remember things, short-term memory. It makes it very hard to perform. Some of you are dealing with depersonalization, derealization. The brain fog is real. It is real. So I just want to go through some of these in hopes to relate with you so you feel less alone. Maybe this can help you with that fear of losing your mind and going crazy. But yeah, I'll just start with some of the basic ones. In the beginning, you know, when I had my first panic attack, it lasted 6 hours. So I had all these symptoms. At the time, I thought I was having a heart attack. That panic attack got so bad, guys, that I was like seeing flashes out of the corner of my eyes. I felt like I was borderline hallucinating. I don't know if I was, but I felt like I was seeing things and like hearing things that weren't there. That's how bad my first panic attack got. And I don't know, I don't hear a lot of people mentioning that, so I thought I would mention it in hopes to, you know, make you feel less alone. I don't see a lot of people mentioning that they saw stuff or heard things that weren't really there. But I definitely experienced at least a little bit of that in my first panic attack, but that was by far the worst panic attack I ever had. And yeah, it really, really tested me. From then on, having all these symptoms nonstop, the chest pain, the fast heart rate, the numbness, the tingling, all of those things, and then going to the doctor and being told that you're completely healthy and that this is just anxiety made me feel like I was losing my mind as well. I was like, am I really just imagining all this crap? Am I just imagining these freaking symptoms? And the thing is that a lot of these anxiety symptoms do not show up on the tests that they run. It doesn't necessarily show up in your blood work. Tension isn't always going to show up on an ultrasound or an MRI or a CAT scan. You know, they can measure your heart rate and your blood pressure, right? But a lot of these other things, guys, they don't show up on tests. So doctors are going to tell you, look, I don't see anything. You're healthy. You're fine. This is probably anxiety. And it makes us feel like we're losing it. Like, is this really all in my head? And the thing is, guys, it's not. It starts in the mind, right? That's where anxiety starts, with our thought processes. But then whenever it gets bad enough, it can manifest into physical symptoms, especially if we are going into fight or flight mode. So having symptoms and being told nonstop that there's nothing wrong with you made me feel like I was crazy. Something else, guys, memory problems. I started having short-term memory issues, walking into rooms, wondering, why did I come in here? Forget, you know, doing things like putting the milk in the cabinet instead of the fridge. I couldn't remember movie names, movies that I loved. I couldn't remember famous people's names, not like saying that they're worthy of me remembering, but you know, really famous people that most of us just know. I couldn't put names with faces anymore. I forgot where I put things. I misplaced things all the time. And I was just like, oh my God, maybe I'm having some early onset dementia or something. And that made me feel, you know, like I was losing it. The inability to concentrate. I would talk to people, would not be able to really, I felt like sometimes, guys, I couldn't even really understand what they were saying. But the biggest thing was like, aside from just the brain fog being there, I was usually displaced. Like, part of me was there for a conversation, but a big part of me was like, what's going on? How am I feeling? Body scanning. What are these other thoughts? Am I dying? I'm going to die. You know, and all the spiraling, catastrophizing thoughts are going on at the same time as somebody talking to me. So it made it very hard to concentrate and focus on what people were saying. So that doesn't translate well when it comes to going to work or having a social life. I would just have brain farts, guys, where out of nowhere I just didn't know where I was going with this sentence, or I just couldn't think of something. And not only was that embarrassing, but it really started to make me feel like there was something wrong with my brain, and that I was losing it, or I was, having some type of a dementia that was starting on. And then I was like, well, maybe some of these physical symptoms that I'm having are because of this dementia. So I would go back and forth with that fear a lot. But yeah, the memory issues, difficulty concentrating, I would stumble over my words. Like I said, the brain farts, but I would also stutter. I developed like this anxiety stutter. It wasn't horrible, but I would like my tongue would just like feel like it's fat in my mouth, like like a swollen tongue sometimes. So it made it hard to engage socially. And guys, like I just found myself just like drowning myself in alcohol to like try to get some of these symptoms to go away or to numb myself to them. Oddly enough, doing that made most of my symptoms go away, but it turned into a vicious cycle. And the crazy thing about it, no pun intended, the crazy thing about it is that whenever I would drink, these symptoms would go away. And it's like, dude, you have evidence that is anxiety. You know what I mean? If you're like losing your mind or going crazy, alcohol isn't going to help with that. You know what I mean? Like it would make it worse. Same thing with my other physical symptoms. Like, dude, like what? So you're telling me like the alcohol makes your heart disease and your cancer go away? Like it, you know what I mean? So I had evidence the whole time, but that turned into a vicious cycle. Depersonalization and derealization. Luckily, I didn't get this all the time. I wouldn't say that I had DPDR disorder. But guys, this is next level scary. And those of you that struggle with that, man, I'm telling you, it is very difficult. It is very difficult to get out of that cycle. One of the biggest things is like fearing that you're going to be stuck like this forever, or fearing that it's going to come back and it comes back, and those two things are what I really struggled with when it came to DPDR, aside from the fact that it was just scary, feeling like nothing was real, feeling outside of myself. I felt like I was like two layers. I was like, I could see like me doing things. It wasn't necessarily me hovering above my body like that, but it was like I was right outside myself. I felt like there was just two layers, me doing things and then my mind separated. So it was just really, really a very off-putting feeling. And there was a few times, guys, I just felt like I was not going to get back. I was not going to get back. And usually, luckily for me, waking up the next day and just being overjoyed that I still wasn't in that state kind of would give me momentum. So I think that that's what kept me away from the disorder part, being able to reset at night. I was lucky, but I know some of you have been in that cycle, for a very, very long time. And my advice to you guys is to just let it be. Stop trying to resist. Same way I would handle some of these physical symptoms. Let it be there. Don't resist. You have to have belief and faith that you're going to get out of it. You have to have belief and faith that this is not going to be the rest of your life. You have to get away from that fear of it never going away, because ironically, that can keep it there. You have to believe that you're going to get out of it. I mean, I'm not going to go into all this stuff about just keep busy, get distracted, work out. I mean, I get all that. But if you don't have the belief system in place, it's just going to be very, very difficult. And that goes for any aspect of your anxiety. You have to believe that you're going to get out of this to get out of it. That's where it starts. So if you're doing all these tools and you're doing all these things, you're watching videos like this, but you're doubting the whole process, you're probably finding that you're not moving forward, or you're stuck, or you've plateaued, and you've got as much out of these tools as you're going to get. Because without the belief, the subconscious isn't going to take anything seriously. So, but depersonalization, guys, very, very scary. I just felt like I was going through the motions, like I was doing things, but it just felt surreal. It's kind of hard to explain. I feel like whenever we say like out of body or like a dream world, like people don't take us seriously. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, but that is how it feels. That is how it feels. And what's happening here, guys, and I'm not going to claim to be I'm not a trauma expert or a DPDR expert, but we are going into the freeze response, which is past the fight or flight. Basically, your body is tired of running, it's tired of fighting, it's submitting, and it's trying to make this world, it's trying to numb you to what's happening, right? Except there's not a dangerous thing happening to you. You're not getting mauled by a lion, so there's no reason for this, but your body feels like that, or your mind feels like that, and it's kind of putting you into this freeze response. So that's why you feel these things, okay? Nothing bad is happening to you. You're not in danger. You're not about to die. You're not losing your mind, and you're not going crazy. Your body is just trying to numb you, and that's why you get these feelings of surrealness, dream state, dreamlike state, dream world. Things don't seem real, or some people just feel off. And that's how I felt. And then this wasn't necessarily DPDR, so I'll move past the DPDR. And there's a video, guys, I'll point you towards that I did. It's called My Darkest Day of Anxiety or something along those lines, and I go into way more detail. I'm not going to spend my whole time talking about this. But one day, guys, I just felt this weird feeling like I was about to just slip off this earth. It is so hard to explain. I did my best in that video to explain it, but I don't know. It's something that I just feel like I can't perfectly put into words. I just felt like I was just about to fall off this world, or fall out of this reality, or go into a different dimension. And I felt like I was just so close. I'd be like, oh, like get out. Like it was darkness and it was doom. And guys, that whole day, man, I was like, they're going to have to put me in a mental hospital and shoot me up with some drugs, because I feel like I'm losing my crap, man. Right? And it didn't feel like I was going to hurt somebody. I wasn't suicidal or nothing like that, guys. I just felt like I was about to fall off, and I never would fall off, obviously, because that wasn't going to happen. It was just like that feeling nonstop. And the funny thing about this was, it's not funny, but the weird thing about this is that I wasn't even having a bunch of physical symptoms. I wasn't having a panic attack or nothing. It was just straight mental this day, and scared the crap out of me. I don't really like thinking about it a whole lot, because that was downright traumatizing that day for me. I share it with you guys occasionally, and some of the people that I talk to with on the phone to relate, but that was by far probably the darkest day of my anxiety, dealing with that struggle of feeling like I was just about to go crazy and just fall off this earth or this plane or this dimension, whatever, out of this reality. Scared the crap out of me. And then guys, also, is like, I haven't even mentioned this, intrusive thoughts. Obviously, we have a bunch of negative thoughts, fearful thoughts, or I feel like I'm dying, or I'm scared of what we know what we're triggered by and what we fear and the negativity that we have. But I'm talking about off the wall things that that you don't identify with. And that's how I would handle these intrusive thoughts. And I'm talking like things that I really didn't want to share with other people, because I didn't want people thinking that I was a bad person, or that I had any of these intentions, or this was part of who I am, or it was part of my heart. No, I didn't identify with any of these things. I'm talking about things like, man, and I'll share with you guys. I at least feel comfortable talking to y'all about this. I'm talking about like just driving and being like, well, what if I just swerved over and just hit this diesel coming right at me? Or what if I swerved over and just went into the trees, and killed myself? Was not, again, I never wanted to take my life or anything like that. Nor would I do that. That wasn't in my heart. I didn't want to do that. It was just like the what if. And I'm talking about, I did that with everything, guys. And then we start to try to keep those thoughts away, and we're afraid of them. And unfortunately, they multiply, and they gain more power, and they gain the upper hand, the control. Let go of control. Let them flow. Let yourself know, even chuckle about it. That's not me, man. You're tripping, dude. That subconscious, that ain't me. That's not us. We're okay. We're fine. We're not going to do that. I love living. I'm just going through a lot. I'm scared, Sorry about this lighting, guys. I'm scared, and that's what's going on. I have anxiety. We would never do anything like that. And then just let it flow. But no, what do? Oh my God, does that mean that I want to hurt myself or hurt somebody else, or whatever your intrusive thoughts are, guys? I know the intrusive thoughts get way darker than what I just said. I just know. You have to try to handle it the same way. That's not who I am. That's not in my heart. And I'm going to let that go. Guys, you're not going crazy. If you were going crazy, or if you were crazy, you wouldn't need to even know it or know that it was happening, most likely. So you are here. You are just very, very afraid, and you're scared. And this is how we feel whenever we're very, very scared. We have irrational thoughts, intrusive thoughts, DPDR, brain fog, and everything that comes with it. But if you want more help, guys, check out my course, Elite Anxiety Bootcamp. It's my recovery course. It's how I beat all of these things. Down below in the description in the first pinned comment, please like this if you got value, and subscribe if you're new. If you want to do coaching calls with me, that information is also down below. But I love you guys. You're not alone in this, and keep fighting.